Hello and welcome to the A&P. I am Alex Johansson and my co-host Patrick McCallum. Patrick,
Hello, everyone. How are you getting on?
we're having logical discussions about the state of the world. Let's get into it, brother. Heyo, Patrick.
How are you getting on, buddy? So, what did you bring me today?
This is our friend Mr. Tomlinson. He wants to talk about Britain becoming more far-right based on the immigration issues that they're having there.
Yes, we covered this young man before, didn't we?
Yes.
Yes, we did. That's right. Just looking back here. Yes, well, we did.
You told me
interesting
last time.
Young man, actually. Very interesting young man.
He's quite a dapper lad, I believe was your
oh, yeah.
thought.
He's very well dressed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he actually has good concepts, which is interesting, too.
Yeah, when we do get big enough to turn on our cameras, as they say, we'll have to get fucking tie, and all this as well, don't we? And get the fancy haircut, the glasses, the whole 9 yards.
Well, you have hair to cut? Lucky you.
yes, Ash, you do.
Jealous. Color me jealous. All right, let us see what this young man has got. Let's let him start cooking.
Britain is becoming a really right-wing country just because the downsides of immigration, all the problems it causes, have become so obvious at this point. It's undeniable. Now,
Ireland has much the same issue, I'm thinking?
Yes, we are getting a lot of downsides at the moment. And I understand exactly where a lot of the people in the UK are coming from.
Right.
We've had a really big spike in a lot of violence across the country.
Right.
Ever since we've had a massive immigration issue.
That's what the Roma, the Albanians, the North Africans,
the Roma, yeah. Because I'm on YouTube, I'm going to be very polite in what I'm about to say about the Romas. I can't say they're parasites or complete waste of space.
That would be rude.
Yeah, obviously we cannot say that. And I definitely can't say that they bring anything good to the table. And definitely not say that.
Right, I feel you. Okay, but the UK and Ireland are having much the same problem. The United States is having that problem on a different kind of scale and a different kind of way, but for sure.
Yes.
Right. Well, yeah, because the British Isles, right? Britannia, Ireland, and Britain, they're islands. Like, you should be able to control things if you have an island. Like, it would seem like you could be like, hey, don't come here. We're an island, and then keep them from coming. Geographically, it just seems right.
It should work. It should definitely work that way on both sides of the border in Northern Ireland.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I understand where the UK is coming from. They need to move their immigrants on somewhere. So unfortunately, it's either us or France. That's pretty much
right. Well, and France is working with a lot of them to get them across the channel in the first place, because once they get them to England, they can dump them on Ireland for sure.
I would, yeah. The French are turning quite the blind eye, you could say. They know what's happening. And they're, as they say, doing their best to stop it.
No, they're not. They're complicit. Yeah, they're 100% complicit. They have to be.
Yeah, I've seen this, and to be honest, it's not just France. I'll be honest. It's Belgium. There's a lot of other countries who are allowing them onto flights, onto boats, and so on. There's a lot, because every country wants to deal with the immigration issue, and everyone wants to move it on to somebody else.
Really, you don't think that they're like pimping mass migration as it's the best thing ever? Your boy, the Unbroken Man, was talking about that, where he's like, we don't want this, and they keep doing it. You can stop now.
Yeah,
you keep doing it.
And the sad thing is, it's breeding a lot of resentment, and I think all our governments are realizing that a bit too late in some cases.
Well, it's causing a breakdown in social structure. When you have people that don't assimilate, and they don't want to assimilate, and they don't want to make their own rules and follow their own rules, our countries are going to look like their countries that they left, that are dog water at best. So, all right.
And a lot of these people are not bringing anything to the table either. When they do immigrate in, they're not bringing any.
Nothing productive.
Some, don't get me wrong, some do have a skill set, you could say, doctors, nurses, so on.
Well, right, but if they have that skill set, why aren't they advancing their own country? Why aren't they doing something there? If they're a doctor, I'm sure that country doesn't want to lose those resources.
Let me finish, as I was going to say, a lot of those doctors and nurses already come through our normal migration service, but what we're getting from the illegal migration service side are unskilled workers, low education, and so on, who, as you said, will never integrate properly because they don't have the educational background or where would all that integrate.
Right. All chaff, no wheat. All chaff, no wheat. All right, let's let this kid cook.
Now, don't get me wrong, our state is still controlled by demented liberals, human rights activists, and closet communists.
That's a pretty harsh statement. I think it's misdirected ideology is what it is, right? It is. I was watching something yesterday where they were talking about non-religious religious fervor, and I think that's what this is, right? They want to be right so bad, and since they have the reins of power, they're going to try and force situations on other people without. Go ahead.
A lot of people in power as well, especially politicians, do not want the label of racist. They're so scared of that word, they're bending over backwards.
Right,
but that destroys. That would appear to be that way.
But that destroys your culture.
Yes.
Right, and that's not a safe thing to do.
No, it's not.
Yeah, and I don't even think they're closeted communists, right? Look at Mamdani in New York. Like, he's not in the closet. He's like, I came from money, and this is how I think you manage money. And people are like, that's not how you do that, fella. Like, that's not the deal.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's not safe.
Definitely not. No, it's not.
That's not the best.
And as I said, I didn't really hear much about the New York election until recently, when Cuomo got, I would say, nice way of getting it, literally got his teeth kicked in live on air.
Oh, he did, for sure.
Yeah, to be honest, he's a bit of a dick. They could have. I think Modami wouldn't be where he is if they had put someone halfway decent and likable up against him.
Well, so New York's got a corruption issue all its own. Like, so Kathy Hochul, their governor, was appointed to the position functionally, didn't have to win an election. Very strange stuff, right? They managed to work the rules where something happened with the governor, and as a lieutenant governor, she took the position without an election. It's very strange. Like, if you want to look at some corruption, whatever they got with their voting and their functions with governors, the gubernatorial races in New York, is like check that out. That's dirty pool. Like, they got something over in Chicago, and Chicago is known for it.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, most of the states have that rule. They can be appointed in as well.
Yes.
To special elections and so on. We have
the special election didn't take place for 2 years after she had the position.
Yeah, but that's how, as I said, people can vote these people out of power very quickly in the next cycle.
Right.
They feel that power.
Well, and you were telling me in Ireland, we want something different, but y'all vote the same. But why are you doing that?
What do they say? You mightn't get the government that you want. You'll definitely get the government you deserve.
Right.
You keep voting the same way.
Right. Well, and we were watching some stuff on.
It's happened to a lot of G20 countries.
Right. Well, we're watching the AfD situation in Germany, where multiple 6 or 7 possible political seats were going to be taken by AfD, except they were killed. They were killed, so they're not going to take the seats, right?
Well, yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that report, and I looked into it myself, and it's fishy is the only word I put it. It's very, very fishy. But it'd be very interesting the next election in Germany. How will they get an overall majority? Because that's the only way I can see them actually getting power in Germany.
Yeah, because otherwise they're not going to be allowed to have any ministerial strength. So what they've done in the Bundestag is they've removed them functionally from the government. No seats, no power, no nothing, right?
It's a very similar thing happened over here with Sinn Féin.
Right.
Very similar.
Right. So while we were looking at some of those videos earlier, trying to generate something, we found that there was a supposed meeting. I don't know how effective the reporting is, where Merkel's old party and the AfD got together to try and fix the immigration thing, just in case AfD came into power, right? And if you look at the AfD voting bloc, it's all formerly East Germany and like maybe one West Germany type province or whatever.
It's very, very much East Germany. West Germany, there was a small section voted for them there, all right. But in fairness, they missed out on a couple of seats too in West Germany, by very narrow margins.
Right, for sure.
They were in the hair's breadth of getting an overall majority.
Right, and the thing is you're right. If they don't get a majority government, they're not going to get a government at all. But what they keep coloring it as is like this neo.
I can understand too why they had that meeting with Merkel's former party, see if they could hammer out a deal before the election. By the way, a lot of politics is done that way.
Well, yeah,
especially in Europe.
Right. When you get in the seat, then you at least have some basis to function. You're not starting
But
from
also,
zero.
it's down to transfer votes as well. So sometimes you'll have, in some constituencies, say in Ireland, you'll have Labour, Sinn Féin, and Fianna Fáil candidates sitting down together saying, look, if it's down to a close run thing, I'll put my transfers onto you, or it happens. That's just the way politics is done.
Well, of course, yeah. You scratch my back, I scratch yours, and
I
hopefully
think-
we get
I
some
think it-
policies that the citizenry of our culture can work with, right? Except they're not doing that. It seems like they're all bad faith actors, and they're pushing like piss poor policies.
Yeah, but I know the way that reporting was done, and it looked very shady. But as a person from a person who knows how European politics works, and from the local level how the politics works, is a lot of parties who normally wouldn't have meetings would have meetings just before an election to sort out transfers and so on.
Right. Well, and so
If you could find some kind of middle ground, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Right, but to identify that meeting as something that was,
Yes.
let's say, based in some 1930s, 1940s
The way it was
conceptions.
framed, the way it was framed was really, really unusual. And, well, it's bad faith, really. Because I've known how some part, like, I've seen meetings between Fianna Fáil, Sinn Féin, and Labour at the local level, where normally those parties would never join together, but they would come together just before an election saying, look, if I don't get in, I'm going to transfer my vote to you. And then if you don't get in, you'll transfer your votes to her, and so on. Even though they would never be in a coalition together, they'll start out the nitty gritty, as they say.
Right. That way things are sorted when things come to the head, and like you can
exactly.
figure it out.
And people counting votes know where the transfers are going, and so on. It's
right. Well, it's just,
I know in the US you only have 2 parties. Over here we have a lot of parties all across Europe.
Oh, and if you look at our second episode on the A&P, you can check that out. We talk about all of them because my boy keeps telling
parties every day too.
Patrick's like,
which
oh,
I
you
like.
love the people before power or profit or whatever the hell they are.
People before profit, you know them. You love them deep down.
Oh, not even in my subcockles, buddy. Not even in my
What did George
subcockles.
Starmer call them? People before Gulag.
Something. Well, I can't even remember the party that I liked.
Independent Ireland.
Yes, those are the ones. Those guys are awesome. Oh man,
there's on tour. They're very far. They're Fianna Fáil used to be far right, but things change over time.
Yeah, they got soft. They're like the Pillsbury Doughboy of Irish politics.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they seem to keep just hanging in there, like themselves and Fine Gael, just hang on to power no matter what we do.
Like an angry tick. All right, let's this kid cook some more.
Are trying to glue shut the lid on civil unrest that they have caused through decades of mass migration and a multicultural appeasement strategy. However,
the multicultural appeasement strategy is failing. In case you can't see it, what I need you to do is walk outside and then go to your nearest metropolitan area and watch how that's working, because it's not.
Yeah.
It is not a thing that
as I said to young people, if you think it's working, just go to any major city in Ireland, sit down in a city centre with a cup of coffee and just look around. Put on your headphones and just look around and ask yourself, is this working?
Yeah, is this the country that I was born in? Is this what we're really doing? Is this the choices we're making as a people? Or is it coming from on high that we're going to do a thing that is absolutely unacceptable? So,
and it's not working. It's not working. Unfortunately.
When even the institutions are letting slip that this experiment isn't working, when the British public, when polled, are now in favor of mass deportations, reversing mass immigration, and say they don't like Islam very much, the centre cannot hold.
He's right. As these sentiments grow, the Union Jack and the St. George and all that is just going to keep coming up and coming up and coming up. Eventually, when those who are of UK citizenship decide as a group, they realize they're going to lose the majority. They're going to do something about it. They don't have a choice. They're going to be compelled to act.
Like what they don't realize is I'm old enough to remember riots in England before.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be worse this time when it does kick off, and you can see it boiling away under the surface.
Right. Well, we covered that thing in Galway, right? Remember that? Yeah, and
that came to a few blows, as they say. But I'm talking about when you look at the movement at the moment, it's a slow boil that is going to boil over. Not just in the UK or Ireland. You can see it across Europe at the moment.
Oh, it's so bad. Germany is
all it's
so
going
bad.
to take, I was going to take at the moment is just one watershed moment.
Yeah, any black swan event's going to cause something to go nuts, and it might not even be something in relation to immigration. We were watching Rudyard Lynch, and he was saying it's probably more than likely, if it's not a presidential election in the country, it's going to be that whatever the Shannon Congress or whatever that entity is in that country literally cannot get across the aisle to the other side and say we're going to make a budget. And the other side's going to say your budget doesn't include all these special things we think it needs to have. And they're just not going to pass a budget. You know what I'm saying?
It could be something. It could be something as similar as that, or it could be the fact that it could be just a random act of violence. It could be 1,000 different events. But as you say, all it's going to take is one black swan event.
Yeah, it could be a George Floyd. Yeah, for sure.
It could be anything.
Right, but the big ones are going to be when the governmental agency that has the purse in whatever country decides they're just not going to pass a budget. Because they can't, or the budget that gets passed is so wildly extraneous, it just doesn't function at all.
Well, yeah, I understand where he was coming with the budget narrative, but it's I'm just thinking of some countries in Europe where there's secondary committees where if a government can't agree with a budget, they can cobble together a budget to keep the country ticking over in the background until they sort their rubbish out. Most countries have that safeguard in place.
The UK and Germany, France, a lot of Nordic countries now that have immigration issues like Sweden, there's just the violence has spiked over 500 or 600%, and it's not native-born people that are causing the problem. And it might just be that some specific crime committed by an immigrant in a space is going to cause an issue in that country, and then it's just going to catch fire all across Europe. You know, like that's
it's going to be some kind of black swan event like that's going to eventually make the kettle boil over, as they say.
But
it's going to happen.
Right, but it's not even a black swan event at that point. It's statistically improbable that it won't happen. Right?
Like we've had so many acts of violence now at this stage across all our countries.
Insane amounts, especially against children and women that are by those who don't want to assimilate.
We've seen so many horrific attacks, not just in my country or his country in the UK, or we've seen them in France, Germany, Spain, all across the European Union.
There was a immigrant that killed a woman on a train, and he had 14 interactions with the police prior, and they didn't hold him for 14 violent acts.
Well, okay. One, he was not an immigrant; he was already a citizen. But the problem was he was left out 14 times before.
Right.
Many times he was. By the way, just to clarify, he was a citizen. But he had massive mental health issues. This guy's rap sheet.
Right. Okay. Yep. I see it. You're right.
Yeah, that particular gentleman definitely needed. Like when your own mother stands up in court multiple times saying, "My son is a danger to the community," prosecutor should have not lock him up in a jail, but lock him up in a mental health facility.
Right.
Or something to help him.
Right. Get him the help he needs. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Like this young lady, she's a Ukrainian citizen, fled her war-torn country and ended up getting killed in, you know what I mean? It's unbelievable the way she was murdered.
It's insane.
And that was a really shocking event. What shocked me more was that how little people actually turned around and helped her on that train.
Well, nobody helped her.
No one helped her.
Well, who's going to want to mess with a crazy guy covered in blood with a knife in his hand? That's really, you know, I mean.
Yeah, let's as they say, I think we've gone a bit off track, as they say.
All right.
We've got down the rabbit hole.
Let's let Mr. Tomlinson get his business on. Here we go.
The faux consensus of the last how many years that mass immigration is an unalloyed good and diversity is our strength is a fiction that is exhausting itself. So let's go to the OBR, the Office of Budget Responsibility. This is the sort of like nerve center of the permanent managerial quango state that really runs Britain. It's a body that is set up by the Cameron government in the 2010s to tell the government how to spend money. It exerts its authority over the Treasury, which subordinates parliamentary sovereignty to experts who consistently have modelled that mass immigration is an unalloyed economic good. Well, last year, they modelled that about half of those on a skilled worker visa in this country are net tax detriments. So they are earning less than the average salary, which means, as Carl Williams for the Centre for Policy Studies has conducted, when you calculate all the visas every year that have been given out since 2021, 95% of them are net tax detriments. And even that 5% are speculative tax contributors.
So between 95 and 100% of those
Yeah,
visas
they're being
issued.
said, they're being propped up by the state. We have a
Right.
similar. The reason why ourselves in the UK have a very similar social welfare system.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're working, say, an unskilled job part time, the UK is very similar to us. If you're up to 25 hours, you can get part payment from social welfare, which comes up with other social benefits like medical
Got
card
it.
and so
Okay.
on.
And therefore they're a detriment. They're a detriment overall
Yes.
because
So basically they're costing us more than what they're giving us.
Yeah.
Is what he's saying.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Just to clarify that for people where he's going with this. Because a lot of people now watching us would say we're from the United States don't realize what he's on about. But because we have such a similar social welfare system, I know exactly what he's on about.
Right,
so
right.
if you're working part-time, you get a part payment.
Mm-hmm.
So say if you're up to the 25-hour mark, roughly 25 hours, you can get nearly a full social welfare payment in Ireland. And it's very similar in the UK as well.
Wow. That's not the best.
Well, it costs, basically they're costing us more than what they're giving us in tax.
Yeah, well, people
benefits.
are functionally being paid not to work. Like, why would you work if someone's just going to give you
Why would
money?
you work full-time when you're going to get all these benefits for working part-time?
Oh, for sure, yeah. And then, again, a net detriment. All right, here we go.
Yes.
That doesn't even say anything about the cultural concerns, which we'll get onto in a moment. And so now the OBR have come out and said, an official from the OBR, David Miles, who's an executive at the Office of Budget Responsibility, is telling the government to stop relying on mass migrant labour because it is objectively making us poorer. Each of those migrants, those low-wage migrants who do not make more tax contributions than they take, by the age of 81 cost us £465,000 each. Why am I paying to battery farm indolent third worlders in my country? Why do I want 33% of Pakistanis and Bangladeshis who never work staying here? Why do I want, frankly, any Pakistanis or Bangladeshis here? Because they don't want to live in Britain. They want to recreate the conditions of the third world in my country. None of these people should be here. They should be...
Right, that's a fail to assimilate problem. If you go to a country, you should do your best to assimilate and appreciate that culture and be a part of that culture.
But the sad thing is, what a lot of people don't understand is a lot of these guys coming from these third world countries, one, they don't have the wherewithal to integrate because most of them are really poorly educated, very poor backgrounds. So they can only continue to do what they're doing here because they don't know any better. They don't have the wherewithal. As one guy put it, who works for the Irish Immigration Service, he said they're very limited.
Yes.
Mentally, they're just very limited people. And as he said, because they're coming from a third world country over to first world country, they don't know modern conveniences. A lot of them completely foreign to them. They're just very limited people. They could be the nicest people in the world, but they're still very, very limited on their opportunities or what they're going to do.
Yep. And then again, at £468,000,
that's very conservative.
That's very.
If you think about it, I think that's a conservative figure. I was thinking of our own social welfare system here, if we take an account for housing, medical, educational, other benefits. Even if, say, they come over here when they're 20, say, and get the pension, say up to 81, you're talking, I would say, over 600, 700,000 euros.
Right.
Conservative.
For sure.
Easy.
That's not the best.
Each.
Oof, tomato. Oof, tomato.
Yep. At the moment, our country and the UK have a very similar problem. 1/3 of our entire national budget on both our countries goes into the welfare system.
Wow, that's
1/3.
Ooh, that's a lot.
Yeah,
there's a lot of euros and pounds.
Yeah, a lot of pounds. If people can disagree with me, but they just look. It's not just social welfare; it's also going to the council budget and so on. It works up to roughly around 1/3 of our budgets are going into the social systems.
That's almost unforgivable because that's interfering with the citizens to function at all.
Yeah, we could carry it for many, many years. Like there was a stage where, we could carry it quite easily. And we can still probably carry it into reasonably the next 5 years. But after that, and if it keeps increasing, once it hits the 40 up to 50% of our national budgets, you're going to see a lot of difficulties. You're going to see a lot of difficulties.
You're cooked. All right.
It's going. People don't understand it. It's going to impact our roads. our educational system, our health
Oh, yeah.
system is
Well, it
already,
already is.
yeah,
But
we're already in strict.
a friend of mine in Germany, and in her son's class, he was the only German-born citizen who was white, right? Literally every other student in his class was not. They were immigrants from
Yes,
somewhere else. So it was
I
like,
saw that as
oh my
well
God.
one day. I've seen it. Actually, I spotted it one day. It really was dark. It was there towards the end of last summer. You know, as
Mhm.
schools are finishing up, I was stuck in the middle of town traffic. By the way, driving through town on during the weekdays when school's on that's interesting. But no, it's absolute bloody nightmare. And by the way, why are people taking jeeps to drop their kids to school? But anyway, besides the point. I was stuck outside the school for about half an hour because, you know, and all these smallies came out, though, this primary school class. Obviously, they looked like they were in first class, second class. They were smallies, but 6 or 7 years of age, roughly.
Yep.
Out of all the kids that came out, there was another guy with me in the truck at the time. He said, "Do you know what's anything about that over there?" And I said, "What are you on about?" So I looked over. They're just lining up, as their parents are collecting them. There was 3 Irish kids out of at least 40 odd kids. There was only 3 white kids, I presume, were Irish.
Right.
3 white kids. The rest weren't Irish. I know people are going to call me racist, but that's just my own, obviously. That's what I saw with my own 2 eyes.
Yeah.
But as you're saying, that lady over in Germany had the same situation.
Yeah. She was in East Berlin, and it's just bad. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
The eastern side of Germany is just taking it like horribly bad because they're also getting the Eastern European.
But that's why you see East Germany. That's why they did so well. The
AfD,
that party. Yeah, that's why they did so well. They have seen it straight away.
It's right in their face. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Commit a crime, they should be swiftly deported. But the fact that the OBR themselves are producing this data and saying here that low-wage migrants cost the taxpayer at least £200,000 by the time that they retire. And you can just see that a high-wage migrant contributes a fair amount, but they're a slim minority, and that doesn't talk about the questions of culture either, which, as Eric Kaufman has written in White Shift, is actually most people's concerns about immigration. They cloak them in concerns about logistics, public services, job opportunities, but usually it's about a sense of belonging, a sense of cultural permanence, a sense that they don't like rapid demographic change. So even the high-wage migrants are suspect in cultural terms, but at least they're contributing, right? Low bar. The average wage for a migrant is dipping well below the contribution threshold. And the UK residents, because we're an aging population, is well down. But nowhere in their lifetime do low-wage migrants contribute positively to the tax base. And that is the overwhelming majority of them. And that is presuming they come here at 25, not as children. But as we know, with data from the Netherlands and Denmark, second and even third generation immigrants commit the same economic and criminal behavioral patterns as their parents. So these people are never net tax contributors.
And on top of that, it means them, the children, and the grandchildren have contributed to the criminal justice cost side of it, as well as the failure to integrate. Like it's not good, and the statistics are specifically bearing that out.
Yeah, we years ago we were all sold a pup saying, "Oh, these people are coming over, highly educated people. They're going to contribute to our societies and so on." I think we all heard that speech over time. And don't get me wrong, there is probably a good percent. There is a percentage that are highly skilled. The vast majority are very unskilled workers,
right?
And their opportunities are very limited. And unfortunately, it's just the experiment is just not working. It's costing our countries an absolute fortune.
Oh yeah, for sure. And all those resources that should be available for Irish citizens, UK citizens, and American citizens just aren't there. German citizens, the G20, like we're just being fleeced. Right?
Like,
you know what it reminds me of? Remember that video we just did about the legislation of advantage, right?
Yes.
It seems like somehow they're legislating advantage for those who are not going to be accountable for their actions. Right? We're going to give you all these things, right? And it feels like a super over-feminized version of I want to help you without checking the statistics, right? To see what is the trend or what's going on, right?
Like I was in my local post office a couple of weeks ago to pick up an Amazon package. Just walked in. And it happened to be on Social Welfare Day. I think everyone knows from Ireland as the normal, as they say, the normal Tuesday.
Yeah, in the United States, we call that Mother's Day. Go ahead.
But there was job seekers payments usually paid out on Monday or Tuesday, but I happened to be going on Tuesday. And there was a big, massive queue outside the post office. I was going, okay. I thought coming early would, skip the queue, but no.
Nope.
Definitely mistimed that one.
You get to stand online, son.
Yeah, myself and another guy were the only two Irish guys. I was chatting to him, and I said he's semi-retired. He's moving towards his pension. He's in the grey period, in the grey area, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just done. He's done his 30+ years. He just has everything paid. He's just chill. Everything's good for him. But as gas, we're the only two Irish people on Dole Day in that queue.
Crazy. All right, here we go.
And we should know this because the people who comprise a civilization build the civilization. And if you look at the civilizations they come from, they're not prosperous. They're not orderly. They aren't places we would want to live. So let's not take entire populations from those places and bring them here. And people just sort of understand this.
Right, and then don't give them conclaves either. Like, that's just a bad idea. So
no, what happens is then it's just a recipe for disaster.
100%. Here we go.
Intuitively now, but it's nice to have some of the numbers backing it up. And speaking of some of the numbers, YouGov did some polling, and it turns out the British public are really Islamophobic, which is just a word invented by the Muslim Brotherhood to stigmatize reasonable critics of Islam so that they can cloak their laundering of jihad through the taboo of anti-Semitism or homophobia. But actually, the British public, in their personal interactions with Islam, the relentless terror attacks, the grooming gang scandal, the constant ethnic grievances brought up by MPs like Ashbana Begum or Ayub Khan in Parliament, the gaslighting, just the fatigue we feel with Islam is now prevalent. And the great taboo that Islam is a religion of peace, and as George Bush once stupidly
it's not.
He said,
no.
We want the same things. That has been shattered. So YouGov have found that half the British public think Islam is incompatible with British values. I know the language around British values is frustrating because we are a nation of a people from whom values, culture, and tradition and history flow, but this is just the way the question is framed. When asked to think, is Islam as a moral and ideological set of beliefs, is it compatible with Britain? Most people say no. 4 in 10, 41% said Muslim immigrants have a negative impact on the country. The proportions feeling this way were much lower for other groups. So it is particularly Islamic immigration they don't like. Now, other immigration has its problems. For example, the ritualistic sacrifice of children accused of being witches in African Christianity, or the ethno-lobbying by Hindu Indians.
Your buddy, the Roma people.
Yeah.
They have some issues too. Some problems
but he's right. There is a lot of issues. Not, as I said, the UK and Ireland have a very, very similar problem at the moment. And the fact that when you have two countries that have a very checkered past, ourselves and the UK, this is the one thing that we can both agree on.
Yeah, this is a real bad idea. This is not good.
This is not working for either of us. It's not.
Versus Sikhs trying to get an independent Khalistan nation that just shouldn't be happening on my streets, but at least none of them are beheading each other in large quantities, or at least they're not beheading the native population in large quantities. We can, again, prevent all that stuff.
You know what this feels like, Patrick? This feels like somebody has moved their turf war from one land to another, right? We have a turf war somewhere, and we're both as peoples who are a subgroup. We're both going to go to a place, and then we're gonna keep up the beef. You know what I'm saying? We're still going to have beef. It doesn't matter where we are. I don't like you so much, but I'm going to fight you over here, as opposed to I could have just stayed home and done this.
It's absolutely crazy. He's right. It's just I think our governments try to act in good faith, but they're getting completely wrong. There's no checks or balances. There's no proper immigration services.
No.
In either country. They're just been completely overwhelmed. They should have invested in this problem years ago. Years ago, they should have put more measures in place.
Well, I'm just hoping we're not past the tipping point. So
I think we are. I think both our countries are. I think, unfortunately, we're both past the tipping point. All it is now is like trying to put a band-aid on a gaping wound.
well, yeah, you're not getting this toothpaste back in the tube, bro. Like,
yeah, it's going to be enough.
For there to be a fix, it's going to have to be a violent reaction. That's going to end up being the fix, and that's not what anybody wants.
And it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well in either of our countries. People don't realize that it's not going to end well.
Facts. All right, here we go.
But Islam is particularly the problem in our country because of the history of terror attacks and the grooming gangs. And so people have a very negative disposition towards Islam. They recognize it as an alien and incompatible moral system, and yet the government are trying to enforce an Islamophobia blasphemy law on us. Anyway, and the country, writ large, would like mass deportations. They support mass deportations. Now, YouGov says this is just because they think that there's actually more illegal migration than legal migration. However, the British public, when asked last year, do you support lowering immigration? They misjudged immigration by a factor of 10. They thought it was 70,000, not 700,000 net. And yet, 90%, 9 in 10 constituencies wanted it lowered anyway. So the British public are very far right, according to what the media.
So listen to those numbers. They thought it was 70,000 and they wanted it to be less than 70,000 when you're like, no, it's actually 700,000.
700,000.
Right. Yeah. So they would like at least 631,000 people sent back to where they're from, right? Just a little bit less.
Go ahead. And by the way, if people think about it, the logistics of doing it, it's going to be a massive operation.
Mm-hmm.
I understand where both our countries are coming from. Logistically, this will cost us a fortune up front. It will cost us an absolute fortune. But the long-term economic benefits for our countries will be
people who want to be part of the culture and make children and make more children and more children to become part of a culture they're proud of. If you're not proud of your culture and you don't have any opportunities, you're not going to make babies. You're just not, because you're like, well, my babies won't ever have anything that's good.
Yeah, and the sad thing is that it's gone to the stage where even if, say, in the UK, I've noticed when people put up the Union Jack or the George Cross or whatever, it's a lot of people, British people, by the way, are completely against it. And I've noticed it's actually over in Ireland now, where guys are hanging up the tricolour and they've been asked to take it down because it's racist in our own country.
If someone comes to my house and tells me to take down the Stars and Stripes and gives me some kind of guff like that, we're going to have words, bro. Like, I have a flag in front of my house. I'm proud of my country.
I've seen it happen. But we're not subtle in our in our answers, I'll put it that way.
Yeah, well, I'm proud to be where I am from. I am proud to be an American citizen, just like you're proud to be Irish.
When did it suddenly become racist to fly the flag of your own country in your own country?
Well, we talked about that before. The only time that you can't have your flag up is when you're an occupied country.
Yeah.
That's the only reason for that. You can't have your flag because you're occupied, right?
Yeah, and I've been thinking about that quite a lot recently as a different instance around Ireland and the UK. I'm going, yeah, Alex is right. The only time you don't have a flag in your own country is if you're occupied.
Yeah, it's a fact.
And you know what? You're right. It does feel that way.
The local law enforcement should say, don't touch that Union Jack. Don't touch that tricolor. Don't touch that American flag. Absolutely not. They're representing when you have
your own
pride.
When you have your own police service in both countries telling you to take down the flag of that country, there's something seriously wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they can eat a bag of dicks, bro. That's not acceptable behavior.
Oh, yeah, they've been told that. Our Guardian have been told that laws many times. They were just told, you know what, just pound sand. Go away.
Get out of here.
Don't be annoying us.
Or pull out a gun you don't have and do work. Otherwise, get the hell off my land, right? Dumbass. All right, here we go.
And the political class would say, and this is particularly pronounced among Reform's own voters, 86% of Reform voters want mass deportations. They agree with the sentence admitting no more migrants and requiring a large number of migrants who came to the UK in recent years to leave. 45% of all Britons, almost half, agree with that. 86% of Reform voters. And Reform are topping the polls. According to recent polls, they're going to get a 300-seat landslide, and Labour are going to lose over 300 seats, and the Tories are going to be reduced to about 14 seats at this rate. So mass immigration is the issue. Mass deportations is the solution. It is not only the right thing to do, it is a vote winner.
Well, yeah, that's what the constituency wants. And if they don't get it, there's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I'll take the caveat of what people say in polls and what people actually do when they stand inside the voting box can be wildly different.
For sure.
Yeah, but I can see reform. Will they get enough to form a government in the UK? No, but will they get a lot of seats? I can see them getting a good lot of seats.
I have a question for you. Remember, we was talking with your boy Johnny, right? And he was telling us in Australia, you have to vote. In Ireland, are you compelled to vote, or can you vote, not vote, whatever?
Unfortunately, in Ireland, you're not compelled to vote, and I think you should be. Personally, I think you should be compelled to vote. But enough people died to give us the vote, especially in my country.
Yeah, well, a couple of our boys died too, and gals.
Yeah,
so
that's what I'm saying. It's very important. And if you don't vote, you should get fined. You should get a slap in the backside.
If you don't vote, again, you're going to get the government you deserve. Remember, you said that earlier. You get the government especially if you don't I
don't know, because the funny thing is, I was talking to a guy one day. He was giving out about Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael and this and that, and I asked him, "Who did you vote for in the last election?" "Oh, I just didn't bother." I was going, "Shut the hell up."
Yeah, you got to eat it, bro. You got to eat that one. You failed. You eat it. You ain't got no room to talk.
I said, I voted. I said, I had to get up, I said, and vote and go to work afterwards. What was your excuse? You don't even have a job, to the same guy.
Oh, right. And you're on the dole, right? Like, you had time, bro. You had time.
Yeah. I was going,
crazy.
Oh, well, I was going, there's nothing. The voting, you live right next door to the voting section. But I'm always saying to people,
you can wait 15 minutes for your first Guinness of the day. You know what I'm saying? You can wait 15 minutes before you hit the pub.
Yeah, I didn't put it as politely as that.
All right, here we go.
But what I was saying is,
go ahead.
Johnny is right. You should be compelled to vote. You should be. In this way, I know people give out to me, but if you don't vote, you should be fined. And guess what? You get a very big turnout.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. All right, here we go.
And so they're saying, here we see majority support for admitting no more new migrants and requiring large numbers of them to leave. The most unpopular position is a large increase in the number of new migrants allowed to come to the UK. Now, they say again, our research shows almost half of Britons, 47%, think there are more migrants staying in the UK illegally rather than legally, including a third of the public who think the illegal figure is much higher. Now, it is much higher than is stated on record, because we know there's at least 2 million illegal migrants here overall. There was at least 1.2 million by 2017. We've had multiple years of increased illegal migration and visa overstays and changes to the visa system, plus the 180 to 200,000 men who have come over on small boats since 2018. So there's bound to be millions of illegals here that need to be...
That boat thing annoys me. How can you not stop boats? You're an island.
Well, I was looking into the whole boat thing. The boats make up about 30% of their crossing point. Most of it are coming by bigger boats, like container ships and so on. And he's right. You're an island. We should be able to police our own borders.
Right. And a lot easier. Why can't you shoot the boats? Why are we not allowed to shoot the boats?
Oh no. Well, the boats he's talking about are the small, little dinghy boats.
Right. So you can't say, if you cross this water line, I will shoot your boat and go to an appropriate port of entry, or we'll shoot your boat.
The British Navy is, they should be able to do it, to be honest. They should be able to stop these boats quite easily if they wanted to.
Well, you know what? Maybe King Charles should just grab himself by his pair and say, look, no more. No more.
Well, he doesn't have to, he can't do, the monarchy can't do much in the UK. They have very limited powers. But the government that's in there in the next time, sure, they can deploy the British Navy.
Oh, God, I hope so.
Well, but that will only stop, say, about 30% that was coming in. That's fair enough.
Well, that's fine.
The other 70% are coming through planes, container ships, and trucks, and so on.
Right.
There should be stricter controls there as well. And even if they get past all of that, they eventually have to apply for services and so on.
Right.
But that's another point where they can pick people up.
Right. If they apply for services and they're not a citizen, pick them and roll them. Get out.
Exactly. So
Like, it just seems
this
strange.
is
Like,
not rocket science.
there's a bunch of touch points where they could just grab these individuals and say, "You're not here correctly. Get out." And we're going to go ahead and escort you to the spot. What was the last country you were in? The Netherlands. Well, back to the Netherlands you go, or back to your country of origin. You're right, provided there's not a war in that country. So, all right, let's let him finish up. We got a short period of time left for Mr. Tomlinson here.
Immediately, but people still, legal or illegal, think these people are here illegitimately, unjustly, and so the legal distinction doesn't really hold. I'm afraid they just don't want these people here in the first.
Right. He's saying that they're illegitimate regardless of their current citizen status, right?
Yeah.
So,
and the sad thing is, he's right. It's putting a lot of strain on all our resources.
Well, they're seeing a failure to assimilate. Culturally, they're just not coming across. They're not trying to become Irish citizens, UK citizens, or American citizens, Germans, whatever.
Plus, they just don't have the tool set to do it. These are third world people.
Right, and they're having their turf wars on our land, and it's fucking annoying. Like, stop.
And that's the sad thing about it, is these people don't have the ability to assimilate, no matter where they go. They just don't have the educational background. They don't have they're limited. I know it's a sad way of putting it, but they are very limited on their outlook and their
right. Well, because they can't become part of a British or Irish family and like get some of that feeling of here's what the culture is and here's what we do. They come in, they're just given money, and then they're told just wait. And in the meantime, what are they going to do but cause issues? They don't have a choice. Because there aren't any programs that are in there to teach them what it means to be Irish or British or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
And the few programs that are out there are massively overwhelmed.
Oh, for sure.
It's just not working. This whole experiment.
It's failed.
It's not working across, not just in England or Ireland. It's not working across the entire European Union.
Or in the United States, No, Canada's worse. It was super bad. Australia, like, it's all bad, all everywhere. Where we have this super feminized government that's trying to hand things out to people without having them be accountable for their actions. It's horseshit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
First place. So, if a political force presents itself that can substantively represent this suspicion of foreign nationals because they bring their incompatible customs here, if someone will be brave enough to talk about Islam, and to his credit, Rupert Lowe absolutely has, for Restore Britain, if people are courageous enough to address this issue head on, then you will barnstorm an election in 2029. We're just waiting on people to pluck up sufficient courage to do so. Some politicians have said it. Katie Lamb did a video the other day saying that.
Your girl Katie Hopkins did it too. You remember Katie, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and the funny, I think there's going to be an election in the UK a lot sooner than that. I can see an election a lot sooner than that.
Mm-hmm. Lots of movement. If you can get a party that says, look, we're going to do this, they'll win. And like he's saying, in 2029, in a landslide, it won't even be close.
I've seen, there's a lot of parties now rising up in the UK. Now, the problem is, will they split the vote, and will there be enough votes for them to come together? As I say, it'd be very interesting to see what way the election will go in the UK. If UKIP and the rest of them can get their acts together, they can, as he said, barnstorm an election.
Right.
Will they get enough to form a government? That'd be really interesting.
It would be.
Because there's always going to be diehard Tories. There's always going to be diehard Labour.
Right. 100%.
And Social Democrats are going to get, and so on. There's going to be diehards there that will always vote for them no matter what.
Did you say diehards or sweaty tryhards? I'm sorry.
But as I said, it happens in every election. Now, will they get enough to barnstorm? Will they get 30 to 40% of the vote? They could. If they got their acts together, they could. They could really do it. If they got their finger out, as they say.
Naughty. I see what you did there, Patrick. All right, but here we go.
Foreign nationals who are on benefits must be made to leave. So that's not just the illegal distinction. That's saying we'll rescind your benefits and we will send you home because you shouldn't be exploiting the British taxpayer. But also we need to be much more concrete on the cultural concerns, not just the economic concerns. We need to say Islam is incompatible with Britain. We need to say there should not be new mosques. We need to say that there should not be cousin marriage, that there should not be the burqa, that there should not be halal slaughter. Anyone found to be violating those laws will be deported. We should, frankly, make the argument to say that Islam itself is just a hostile belief system that we will not allow into politics and into public life. We are well within our rights to do that. And I think that is popular, palatable, and will only continue to grow as the problem gets worse.
Yeah, he's right.
Yeah, he is.
As I said, it's going to be one of those issues that is going to boil over in the next year or two. You'll see it happening.
Oh yeah, it's just getting
I'm
ugly out there.
old enough to remember a lot of this over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're bored of that generation, and we can see the writing on the wall. This is not going to end well.
Right, it's a failed experiment. So, all right, for Patrick McCallum, I am Alex Johansson. Like, ring the bell, subscribe, do all the things, and help us beat the algorithm. We are out.